10th of February. How the hell am I feeling? Looks like that's one over sometimes. The booster shot that I taken on the 8th is still affecting me slowly. It's been somewhat kicking my ass. Besides the lethargy and the narcolepsy still kicking my ass from prior to that. It's just a combination of stuff that's driving me nuts right now. But all in all, I'm still alive. I'm Rex. Feel like one anyway. What's been happening? You tell me if the world's gone crazy or not. I'll probably be repeating myself on a lot of things. Been trying to keep up with local and international news these days. They're still talking about if the mask mandates are still acceptable or not. I'm not going to say anything about the damn thing. There's too much controversy if I have to get myself involved in it. What I can say is, the closer we get to an election cycle right now, the worse it's going to be becoming. I do know that I'm going to have to make some changes in my life eventually. Things cannot be remaining static. Unfortunately, that's the law of nature. Things have to change, mutate, move out of the way for the new youth to come in and take over. That's all we old folks need, is to be pushed aside and have the new folks think they own the damn joint. We keep thinking to ourselves, you just wait. You just wait. Meanwhile, social media still talked about what's going on. I'm still keeping track of all the mental folks out there trying to deal with their own damn issues. A bit of controversy over a couple of memes left and right. Sometimes I have to get into it myself. And when I do get into it, I question some of the doctors, or the so-called doctors that keep putting their stuff on there. And even if I happen to reach out, trying to get an answer from these guys who goes in one ear and the other ear, whoever's doing the administrations, just aren't paying attention enough to these schmucks. Especially if I happen to be one of the one or two top guys keep posting about this stuff. And what I keep reading is the what I keep reading is people still reacting. And sometimes overreacting, depending on what they're typing out, of how they're feeling. There's been a lot of occasions that the Post would tell people that they have a hard time in trying to communicate this stuff out. Well, I had to see. And there's been one particular cartoon that someone used that they drew up, and they have four square in this cartoon. And they're trying to demonstrate on how hard it is to explain anxiety, depression, all the bad stuff we're feeling inside, and it comes up as like black, blah, whatever the hell that damn thing is. I call it icky. It reminds me of something I wrote about a long time ago. All of our nice little evil shit going on inside of us, our id, the darker nature of us. And the problem is, it was just demonstrating how it looked and felt for some people to show that it's hard to talk about anxiety. It's hard to talk about grief. It's hard to talk about depression. It's hard to talk about how PTSD affects people left and right, especially for those who haven't been through it. Well, if they have been through it, they deny what they've been through. The thing of it is, I have been watching life unveil itself more and more. I'm saying there's a hell of a lot out there that would either challenge us, freak us out, or piss us off. Some of it might cripple us, and the rest of it just might challenge us to the point where we're taking baseball bats to it and trying to beat the hell out of it. You know, and we're beating the hell out of each other and ourselves at the same time. Because we don't want to be under this damn spell. It pisses us off. It upsets us a great deal. Your body goes through a reaction. Try this one. Try this one. How many times can you wash out a bottle? These things are for single use, right? Single use purpose. And yet for months I've been using this thing as either a water bottle or basically an orange bottle because I've got tang. And I keep putting tang into the damn thing and I keep throwing it to the wash. Eventually, my body reacts to the chemical leaching out of this. It tells me that I need to get me a new bottle. It cannot deal with any of the chemicals it's been processed. In fact, I shouldn't have been processing it in the first place. I should have been drinking out of these damn things. I should have just been putting them into the recycling, but I recycle on some things. If I'm going to be able to use the damn thing, I'll rewash the damn thing over and over again, see if it's going to be useful or not. Even pie trays, pie pans, various sorts are useful enough to a point. And beyond that point, is what I have to keep pushing it to. Flavoring of this one starts affecting my throat, the way I swallow, the way I taste. So I'm no longer tasting the tang, I'm tasting part of the chemical, so I know it's time for me to get rid of it. Our bodies and our minds and our spirits, I feel, are doing the same thing over and over again, except sometimes there's a way of blocking it out. And I feel, and I get indications from a lot of people on social media that sometimes they get to a point where they can't deal with it. And they get the allergic reaction to it. It simply drives them nuts. So, they can get rid of it. Unfortunately for regular folk who can try to do that, yeah. Me, unfortunately, I'm probably one of those special idiots, or not special idiots, but one of those fools and idiots who keeps using the damn thing until I have to have the mallet upside the head to tell me, you know, it's time to get rid of it. I've been using it for a tank bottle for a long while. And it's kind of hard for me to deal with it. So now I gotta dump this shit out and find me another bottle. Put my orange juice in so I can have constant orange juice. Well, why would I have constant orange juice? Because I feel like it's my sugar. It's my sugar going into my body, besides having regular water. And this also I have to watch out for. Despite the fact that this particular bottle has also been almost out as long as this bottle has. This also has a tendency of growing mold. One way or another, I'll be feeling it effects again because of the chemical leaching of it. Now, how does this play in for nervous and mental? At least in my case. How much longer can I stand pain? How much longer can I stand things happening around me that I've gotten used to it? That I got called numb to it? There's only so much I can put myself into a comfortably numb state if I'm going to be doing a Pink Floyd album here. And it affects me more than what I'm realizing and what I'm not able to share with people. Because it is hard for people to talk about it. It's their own personal lives, their own personal story. And they feel like they're embarrassed as hell. And I know I have been. There was a time when I first got myself a full-time job. And it led to another full-time job. And then I stayed at it for about 4 years. I'm a kid out of college. Actually, a kid got tossed out of college. So I have to work my ass off for a living. I have to keep a roof over the head. I have to keep the bills paid. I have to pay for portions of my food in the house. I have to do all this just to stay alive. Because I was given an alternative. If I didn't do well in college, I was going to be tossed out. My mother had it with me in my damn grades all of my life. She knew I had potential, but she kept pushing and pushing. Nobody understood back then that when a child goes through an event far beyond their comprehension, how the hell are they supposed to act and react, and how the hell are they supposed to be dealing with it? There are no manuals for this damn shit. There are no shrinks out there for this shit. And the priests have no idea what the hell's going on. So I had to wing it. And all along I'm feeling screwed up inside. There had been a few times in my youth that at the low points I prayed, and yes, I've gotten the positive energy response and overwhelmed me like crazy, but then I felt like a crash and burn right afterwards. And those kind of experiences stayed with me in memory only, and not quite the energy feeling, but just the memories, just as a reminder of what I've been through. It should be a nice, happy, joyous time. I mean, everybody in the religious or spiritual fields are dancing and doing a jubilee or whatever hell they're doing. Not me. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of my own damn shadow at that point. Even to these days, I'm not quite sure. And I get pushed. I get pushed by my mother because I get to a certain age. I'm supposed to be, doing very well, and yet I'm not. And I got things happening in my life that I'm supposed to be reacting and dealing with and trying to deal with appropriately. And you know what? There's no manual for this shit. So I pissed my mother even further because now I'm doing video games as a teenager. I'm trying to deal with a grandmother who's bedridden and staying at home. And Mama's doing everything else she can to take care of her family. She wanted us to take care of Grandma. She wanted to take care of Grandma. My brother and I didn't have a choice. My brother wasn't there at the time. My grandma actually had a stroke and I was a teenager growing up. David chose to be in the military. And he was having his own emotional issues over there too. To the point where he got himself kicked out of the Navy. Bad conduct. And all the way up to his death, he never got it reversed or anything. Nothing. Just stayed with him. And it was something that he was ashamed of for all his life. He knew he could have done better. He knew he should have done better, but some mistakes you just can't fix. Even little brothers can't fix the damn mistakes for his big brother. So, out here, he's got to deal with it. And I dealt with control issues concerning for my mother, that she wants everything under control and yet everything was out of control. There was nothing in control. We didn't have a perfect family. We didn't have anything perfect. Are you kidding me? Most dysfunctional family ever. And yet, we functioned. We functioned. We may not have liked or hated each other's guys at times, but we functioned. I didn't like what was going on with the grandma situation, especially I'm seeing my own grandmother dying in a bed, little by little. And my mother was afraid of losing her. I understand the feeling completely. Growing up as an adult and then dealing as an adult situation and how that feels. Mama dying when David and I did the 24/7. David, his turn, and I'm doing 24/7. Nobody's doing 24/7 on Johnny about Johnny. So I've been trying to go through memories. I've been trying to talk about this stuff and the reasons why I do the videos. The reasons why I do and post the videos. The reasons why I have to talk about it. As I said before, I'm not an expert in the real anything. I'm just a guy going through a hell of a lot of crap. And I have to dig and find out why. I have to go through each memory and try to justify and criticize the damn thing and how screwed up I am and how screwed up everything else was. Until I understand what the hell I was going through, meant the damn thing or not. And a lot of things didn't add up. I was a kid. Growing up and a hell of a lot of painful memories and things beyond his own damn control. I should have felt lucky and blessed and tried to smile like crazy. I didn't. I cowered like an idiot. I cowered like a cow. I feared too damn much. It was showing in many ways and nobody picked up on it because nobody was acute in understanding any of this. Even the old doctors didn't pick up on this damn stuff. So the old doctors, despite the trauma or whatever happens, you're tough enough mentally, you're going to put this aside and you're going to push ahead because that's how it is. Deal with it. And that's how my doctors dealt with it. That's how they wanted the kids to grow up as. Deal with it. And you're not allowed to have PTSD. You're not allowed to have anxiety or depression. You're not allowed to feel these damn things. You're not allowed to express them as much. Because there's no way to express them to people who are already putting you through the damn shit in the first place. These days, you can put them through the damn counseling sessions or through hospitalizations for inpatient or outpatient. But back then, they were barely getting outpatient services going, let alone the inpatient services going. They had experimental services happening over at UCLA in LA County at one time. My mother was a participant in the situation. And another test case was. But suffice it to say, back then, it wasn't talked about. Nobody talked about people going crazy in the 50s or 60s. 70s, it was barely coming out. The only ones that were being popped off were the veterans coming back from wars. And basically the ones coming back from Vietnam were the ones mostly picked on the most when it comes down for publicity. We didn't hear anything concerning about anybody committing suicide because of Korea. The Korean conflict or Korean War, depending on your way of looking at it. And then there was World War II, then there was World War I, and Spanish American, and goes for. Nobody ever talked to the vets about them trying to kill themselves because how horrible the war was for them, their time. But and kids like myself, who had emotional issues to deal with, who had anger issues to deal with, who had frustration issues to deal with. Nobody suspected that I would have an issue like that. But it's bad enough I had a physical issue. And my brother, well, he'll be called a nut bar. He'll be called a nut. Yeah, he'll be called a nut. Part 1 ends, Part 2 comes up.